that's where that run happened. To think about more playing, I think they're an NCAA tournament team. I know they're an NCAA tournament team. We're down 14 to go up 17. I mean, to go plus 31 is pretty remarkable. You know, and credit to our guys, credit to our fans. I thought the fans were awesome. I thought they were proactive, not reactive. You know, we were down, and they were really, you know, giving us all the energy they had, and what they along with our team flipped the game. Bench was amazing. You know, all guys. I mean, Gray didn't score, but he was terrific. Kellen Thames was phenomenal. Paul Otieno was great. Ishan Sharma was great. Those guys, you know, carried the day, and you know, just a lot of good stuff to walk out of there too. You know, it was a great team win. Fans were awesome, but emotional, physical game against a team that, you know, we've talked about this. We have incredible respect for VCU, for Dayton, you know, in this league in terms of, you know, they've set a standard, and you know, we're trying to put ourselves in position to challenge those guys. And you know, it's a physical, hard fought. You know, with VCU, they're going to be super talented. They're going to be disciplined and tough, physical, and they were. And you know, it was everything we thought it'd be. But they took us to a level. We were able to raise our game, raise our physicality to match it, and found a way through.
In those last 12 minutes, did you feel you guys got back to what you wanted to see from this team over the last few games? It hasn't been good.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think the rest of the game was as bad. I mean, I know the score or whatever, but I mean, I told the guys at halftime. I mean, our shot profile was better than their shot profile. Now they were making threes, but it wasn't the guys that we were necessarily super worried about making threes. I mean, they had guys who were not great shooters, you know, that we were having to give something. And credit to them, those guys made shots in the first half. I thought our shot profile was better. We just couldn't make shots. Shooting's a variance in the game, and it makes it, you know, look like, you know, you're playing great. But I was much more concerned with the fact that we couldn't get a defensive rebound in the first half. And but I thought, you know, we were 3 for 13 from 3 at halftime, and I thought our looks were pretty quality. I was a little bit. I thought we had a stretch. We had, you know, 3 straight bad rim decisions, and then a bad 3. You know, guy thought he got fouled and fired one up, and so we had about 5 out of 7, 5 out of 8, where we had some you know, bad possessions. But you know, the threes in the first half. I mean, you know, you're looking at, you know, you go Terrence Hill and Jadron Tracy are the guys you're uber concerned with, and you know, and first half they didn't make any. It was the other guys who made them. It was Djokovic. We had to do a better job, of course, but at the end of the day, it was the rebound that was just killing us.
Kellen,
First half. Go ahead.
Kellen started that run with a sequence of plays. So how does he just flip the switch like that, and how do you get him to do it more often?
Yeah, I'd love to see him do it more often. You know, you know, certainly when he plays like that, he changed our team. You know, I've always said, you know, Kellen and Amari probably move the needle for this team more than anybody, because when they're really good, it makes us really good. And I thought both those guys were really good tonight. You know, Amari, you know, struggled early. I thought he took some you know, some threes that really weren't rhythm shots for him. You know, they weren't paint to grade threes. They were just like one swing, you know, non-paint threes, which are bad shots. Deion took one early. We were bad early. We got a stretch there late, but Kellen flipped the whole game. He was great in the first half. He turned it over too much. He got 3 turnovers in the first half, but second half he came out. He was downhill though. He was aggressive, attacking, in transition. I thought he was to me the best player on the floor both VCU games. He was the best player on the floor on the team in both those games. And he was, you know, he flipped the game tonight. His energy when he's playing like that. That's what we got to try to get to. Is, you know, I tell the guys all the time. You know, there's no I in team. There's an I in win. Right? So wins. The I in win stands for individuals who can perform. And you know, he was terrific tonight. And without the bench, I mean, the bench carried the day. Like, I mean, we had guys. Starters weren't terrible, but I mean, our bench outplayed our starters. No question. Paul was terrific. You know, Ish was fantastic. Like I said, Brady didn't make a shot, but he was plus 19. He did so many things to touch winning like that the average person wouldn't see. But defensively and offensively, he was terrific for us, even though he didn't score.
How much of an impact would you say the switching that matchup with Amari and Paul and Djokovic in the second half made for you guys?
Yeah, that's what we won the game with. We did that there. You know, Djokovic would be a hard matchup for Rob. You know, he's fast. He can shoot threes. He's 6'10". We're lucky to have 2 guys like Robbie and like Amari and Paul that have the capabilities to guard. That's one thing. You know, Amari's a Swiss Army knife defensively. He You can put him on the point guard, you can guard Trey Green, you can guard Lazar Djokovic, you can guard really anybody on the floor. When he's engaged, he's the best defender in our league, and there's a lot of great defenders in our league, but Amari's the best because when he's engaged, there's not a position on the floor that he can't. He can go down and guard the smallest, fastest guy, he can guard the biggest guy. You know, he's got the wingspan. I thought the physicality on Djokovic, second half was good. I thought we gave him too much space in the first half. Part of the reason we put Paul and Amari on is because they have the speed to get up into him, and I thought they were giving too much space on those threes. So, you know, we just made that adjustment at halftime to really get up in the ball, be more aggressive, try to force him to drive. And I thought they did a great job. Both those guys, second half. He's a hard matchup because he can at his size, he can post you, he can shoot threes, he can drive the basketball. You know, he's been playing great. I thought second half we were able to kind of, you know, not shut him down completely, but we certainly made it a lot harder for him in half two than it was in half one.
The turnovers, especially to start the game, just seems like it's
Yeah.
a continuing
Yeah.
issue for you guys.
Yeah, our starts haven't been great last, you know, but I would say like, you know, we really were until the last 5 or 6 games a fast starting team. If you really think about the season, we've always come out and been like, you know, really good early usually, and then you know, so I don't know. We gotta figure that out. We you know, some turnovers. You know, early I thought we were a little sloppy offensively early. Like our shot selection wasn't as good. We weren't playing with force. We were on our heels early. And then I thought we settled in. I thought we were really bad offensively early. You know, we took 3. You know, Mari took 2, Dion took 1. You know, non-paint threes, just swing threes. That, you know, if you're not an elite shooter, those are hard shots. The ball doesn't touch the paint. That's like, you know, we call it average early, just an average early shot. Like you shoot an average shot early in the clock, it makes no sense. You got to keep playing. I thought as the game went on, we kept playing. We kept layering triggers. Our ball movement, body movement got much better. We attacked with much more purpose and intentionality. And that happened in the first half. You know, we had another stretch of 5 out of 8. I told you, you know, where you know, Dion made a bad red decision. Q made a bad red decision. Dion shot a mid. Brady thought he got fouled. He didn't go through the plays, but you know, I'm not gonna bore you with it. But you know, that was that stretch. We got to be, you know, outside of that, I thought we were pretty good offensively, but we certainly got to figure out the starts.
Coach, can you talk about your perspective on what transpired at the end of the game?
Yeah, so I would preface it by saying that I was shaking hands and talking to Phil Martelli when it started, so that I don't have but the gist of what I saw was we were dribbling the ball out, clock was running out. I guess we probably could have picked the ball up and both to dribble it, I would assume. The guy for their team went to go steal the ball, which is, you know, not illegal by any stretch. It's certainly not, you know, it's frowned upon, but not illegal. So he stole the ball and went to go shoot it, and Rob fouled him. And then their guy two-hand shoved Rob in the back, and then I think our guy came in and stood up for his teammate and shoved him back. And so it's, you know, it'll get blown out of proportion, but at the end of the day, like, I mean, it's an emotional game. You're playing a rival. I mean, they're I don't know if we're a rival to them, but they're a rival to us, you know. And so, you know, emotions run hot, but like I didn't, at least from what the initial, you know, there wasn't anything that was like significant. It was literally just guy stole the ball, Rob didn't take too kindly to it, fouled him, and then that guy didn't take too kindly to Rob fouling him, two-hand shove in the back, and then our guy shoved that guy back, and everybody just milled around and did what the general basketball fighting does, which everybody's trying to get held back so they don't have to do anything. You know, so it's at the end of the day it'll be nothing, but it was, you know, I get the question for sure.
Thank you. Coach, Paul made one shot all night, but you guys definitely don't win this without him. Can you just talk about his effort and the things that he did to help bring this win together?
Oh, yeah, Paul's awesome. 5 offensive rebounds, good defense on Djokovic, the ability to switch and guard different positions, his rim protection. A couple of the threes we got are because he's sprinting the middle of the floor and he's sucking the defense to the rim. The defense doesn't account for him, and we get straight threes. Paul does a lot of things that are invisible inside the game that drive winning. And Paul's a winning player. I thought he was fantastic. His free throws, and it just shows like he and Brady, you know, they combined to make one shot. But you know, if you look at like their impact in the game, like Brady's +19, Paul's +9. Like you don't have to make a ton of shots to to impact and affect winning and put your fingerprints on winning, and Paul's fingerprints are all over this game on both ends of the floor. He was awesome.
Coach, you talked about after the Rhode Island game how they kind of punched you in the mouth. VCU kind of came out and did the same thing. How were you guys able to stabilize to stay in the fight to set up for the kill shot late?
Yeah, I think what happens, when you're playing against really good teams, we talk about this a lot, like competition, really good competition can take you to places that you probably, you couldn't get to on your own. You need the competition to push you there, to take you there, to raise your level. Otherwise you lose, and I think Rhode Island, we tried to flip the switch, and we just didn't have it. We didn't have it really on either end. Against them, and credit to them, they made every big play, made every free throw, and we missed every free throw and missed every play, and we were playing with fire. Tonight wasn't as much that. I felt like the area of growth for us, the biggest area of growth for our team is in the physicality department. We have to be more physical, more consistently if we're gonna have a chance to. We've had a very good season to this point, right? We're 25-2. If we're able to finish it the right way and win a championship, it's a great season, no matter what happens. You can't have a special season unless you perform in the postseason. If we're gonna have a special season, the physicality piece has got to match the rest of it, and that's on me to do as a coach to get it to where it needs to be. But we showed tonight, I'm in the under 12 media on our guys because we're down, I think, 57-51, and it's right under 12, and I'm like, if we can rebound, we'll win the game. If we're tough enough to get rebounds, and from there we really cut the water off, and that triggered everything because we were getting stops, we just weren't finishing possessions, and then once we started finishing possessions, then the dam broke, and that's how basketball works. It's hand in hand. It's hard to be good on offense if you're always in the ball out of the net, and it's hard to be good on defense if you're always in transition. So scoring helps your defense, and getting stops and rebounds helps your offense, and they work hand in hand.
Josh, you mentioned that VCU is a big rival for you guys who don't know how to think about it, but as you're building the program, how big is it this week?
No, it's huge. It's VCU's and Dayton. I think in the Atlantic 10, when you come in, you always look at a league. When I got to Indiana State, there was no question. It was like Northern Iowa, Drake. When I got first got Loyola, there was programs that kind of set the standard. And when you come to the A10, there's no question that you don't look far, and it's VCU and Dayton. Their track record of success, the history, and so to come in, and I think is that now is it 3 in a row that we beat them? Is that right? Yeah. So 3 times in a row. For us to do that doesn't mean we've caught them by any stretch. That's not, but it is that we're striving to get up where they are. But what makes VCU, what makes Dayton is consistent high level performance. Over time, sustained performance over time, and so we're certainly. But that's a measuring stick for us. When we play them, we play Dayton. Those are teams that we're trying to aspire, to catch and to get in the pass. And so, again, I don't know how they feel about us, but for us, we have an incredible respect for them and that program and all it's done, this team and the teams prior. And so it's we're always, that's a program, like I said, we look to kind of measure ourselves and then see where we stand up.
Coach, you makes 1 of 14 threes in the second half. That's one of those things that I just will turn a game.
Shooting variance.
Yeah.
Yes, just like they made 8 from 14 or 15.
Yeah, 3 for 15,
Yeah.
1 for 14.
Yeah, and so everything looks better or worse depending on shooting variance. I know people hate hearing that because it sounds like a cop-out, but they actually, to me, got some better looks in the second half. A couple wide open ones, Djokovic, Bell, they missed them. I thought we did a pretty good job defending the main shooters, Terrence Hill and Jadrian Tracy. I think they made 1 combined. But we had to give up some stuff with help. We're going to help more off certain guys, and then they're going to get better looks. And the first half they made us pay, second half they didn't. But you can't take everything away from every team. That you have to take something away, you just have to give something up. And in the first half we gave them up, they made it. But I think it's harder to make shots second half. You got 10,000 plus screaming at you, and on the fatigue of the game, it gets tighter. Everything gets harder later in the game. To do things, particularly if that's not what you do. That's not like in your repertoire, like, you can still do it. Amari made a huge three at VCU to flip the game, it's not like what he does. You know, it'd be like for us if, you know, for them, the first half would be like if, you know, Dion Amari combined to make 7 threes, like teams are gonna let them shoot those shots. Now, if we make them, it looks great. If we don't, it's like, what's the coach doing? Why is he letting them shoot those shots, right? So that's the shooting variance, and that's the second half, you know, flipped in our favor.
Amari's free throw shooting?
Yeah.
Amari's free throw shooting, I mean, but he made the front end of a 1-on-1.
Did 1 for 6 on mine.
Yeah.
You know, it's been streaky. He was out there shooting when I left. You know, he shot it great against Rhode Island, made the front end of a 1-on-1. You know, it is what it is. He's got to keep working on it. I think, you know, free throw shooting is the thing that, you know, the more, you know, you just got to work on it. And, you know, like anything, you know, confidence comes from work. And then you got to go to line, and you got to have your routine and your rhythm, and you got to step up, and you got to make them, and all the, you know, the mental gymnastics are just matters. Like, you got to step up there, you got to have worked on it, and you got to. It's a different type of shot because everybody's, you know, I mean, there's the, but you just got to step up. You got to have to put the work in, and then you got to trust your work, and you got to go up and you got to make free throws. And he did the last 2 games, I think. And then tonight he was terrible. We were terrible as a team from line. You know, we were 10 for 19. You know, we could have put that game away a little earlier had we been able to make free throws. But it goes back to, you know, you got to be able to win. You know, make shots. You know, shooting variance. You know, I tend to focus all my attention on the controllable things. Shooting variance is never something that I spend any time, you know, thinking about. Other than I hope it goes in our favor, but I don't spend any time. You know, there's so many controllable things in basketball that you can do to better your chance of winning. I spend all my attention on those things. As long as we're getting the right shots. Marty was super aggressive down there. He was terrific in the game. If he makes free throws, his numbers look a whole lot better. He probably scores close to 20 points in that deal in 25 minutes.
Hey, Coach, I'm sorry. You had a question, I'm sorry. I'll
Yeah, Coach, you know, 5 guys in double digits tonight. What can you say about this team's ability to just continuously spread out the scoring options as the season goes on?
Yeah, you know, you try to play in a way that's good for the collective. I think that's always, you know, the challenge is to play in a way that's, you know, you're not playing through one guy. I thought we did a really good job in the second half of you know, we assisted. I think we got 11 assists in the second half, and we only had 5 at halftime, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, finding each other, making the right reads. You know, you always want to play in a way where you play to your strengths and you're making your teammates better. You know, that's how team sports work. The best teams, you know, play in a way that brings out the best in each other. I thought this team, for most of the year, has played that way offensively. They played in a way where they've made each other better. They put their strengths together to try to, you know, to play in a way that like compounds each other. And I think that's been the case for most of the year. In the second half, I thought we did a great job off-ball screening, working to take advantage of matchups. Guys played to their strengths. Talk a lot about soaring with their strengths. I thought we had a lot of guys soaring with their individual strengths in that second half. It was great to see, and it's been a hallmark of this team all year long.
let's talk about the hustle tonight. That young man in the first half, you're down by whatever,
Yeah.
dives over the media row and there.
Yeah, Brady, he went in, that was a big time hustle play. He's been watching a lot of Deion Brown, I guess, 'cause, but these guys have been, you know, there's not been many times all year when you look out there, they're not first on the floor, and they're not diving into the stand. I mean, you go back to, remember, Brady, I think Tom and Stu were there at Bradley in an exhibition game. We're up 20-some, they dove into the stands, and, I mean, that's been a hallmark, again, of this team, you know, the effort, the ability to not play the scoreboard, and, you know, and down, up, whatever, there's a right way to play, and they try to play it. And Brady, like I said, in the night where, you know, he makes no shots, he's plus 19, not because he dove, but because he did a lot of things that you know, are invisible, that drive winning, and he was a huge part of flipping that game, even though he didn't do it in a way that got box score validation.
Is it accurate that Quentin did not get ejected?
Quinn did not get ejected. Nobody was ejected. Neither team had anybody ejected.
That's not what they announced.
Really?
They
Yeah,
announced-
they
There were two flagrant twos. which
Oh, I guess,
that,
okay,
yeah.
was that
So
was that
Quentin, it was
Quinn and Barry Evans?
And then number
Yeah,
5.
I didn't know.
Flagrant
They
twos.
kept it, so they put somebody else on the court.
Well, they said
They said Evans and not Quentin, and then they said the entire bench for both teams except for Amari and.
Yeah,
They
because they
left,
said
yeah.
everybody else left the bench, so there was, everybody left the bench. If you left the bench, you get ejected. I think Barry Evans and Quinn both got flagrant twos. Barry for shoving Robbie, Quinn for shoving Barry. I think is what it.
Did anything happen because of that? Because of the ejection?
No, it's It's only if it's fighting.
No, there was no punches thrown, there was just a lot of, like I said, it was a typical basketball fight, a lot of pushing and shoving. Anything, you know.
I think like Jaden and Isaac.
Did they throw out Jay and Isaac? They're too lazy. Jaden's too small and Isaac's too lazy. So too far to run to go over there. They're not making that time. I was just glad that for this year, Janet got a break. She wouldn't have to go in there and like last year, so that was good. She was able to hang out. But I got in there and, yeah, it was a good idea on the way, but it didn't seem as good when I got inside. But if nothing happened, that would be suspension worthy or anything like that for either team. I nothing, it was just pushing and talking.
Anybody else for Coach? Lenny, good?
Good?
All right.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.